Hi there everyone. We get asked all the time about working with young horses in harness. We've had a fair amount of experience in this space, so I thought I'd share with you some of the steps and stages that we work through when we're breaking a new horse to harness. First things first, groundwork, groundwork, groundwork. It's a crucial phase of the whole process. I can't tell you how long it's going to take you for your horse and pony because every single one will be different. But it's the most important part of the whole process. Getting the basics right at the early stage will save time and tears later. Getting your horse out and about is really important as well. Desensitizing them to different sights and sounds will help when they need to transition out to events in harness. Now for the fun bit, the introduction to the carriage. But before we do that, we do quite a lot of long reining with a tyre or a mat being towed, and as you can see we've also got pool noodles on mimicking shafts. We put our ponies through quite a few different situations. As you can see, we're going around the stables and the mat gets caught up under the tyre, and we do that on purpose. We want them to be desensitised to all sorts of things before we introduce the actual carriage. As you can see, we're driving or long reining up our driveway at the moment. I'm probably puffing a little bit, but as you can see, Henry's not really phased about anything. At this point, we are safe to introduce him to the carriage. Again, if we ask to stand, he stands still. At this point, we introduced him to our trusty wheelbarrow, nice long shafts. He stayed there while we had a cup of tea. And this is our tractor. So you'll see this a little further in this video. But our tractor is like a security blanket. They start working behind that before we work freely. Henry is a bit of a natural at this. We always joke he's always been born broken in. So it only took a couple of days to get from that tractor phase to driving alone like this. As you can see as we come around, the tractor's there, so he actually started on the tractor this day, and we put our brave pants on and untied that rope, and this is his first drive off of the tractor. So this was a pretty proud moment for all of us in our family. It's definitely a family sport. We wouldn't be doing this without at least 2 or 3 pairs of hands on the ground, ideally at least 3. Things can go wrong with carriage driving and harness ponies quite quickly, and you need to have those extra hands on the ground. As you can see, Mum's also got her helmet on, and she's also got a body protector on underneath that puffer jacket. We take safety quite seriously here, and we won't drive on our farm without a helmet on, especially the young ponies, but it's just a rule that we follow. At this point in training, we're just asking them to be moving forward. There's no need for them to be on the bit. Henry tends to have a natural self-carriage, so he does go behind the bit quite easily. So what we're looking for is going forward, going kindly, not pulling on the bit, but still having enough contact there to be able to have control of the situation. But mostly just forward and kind at this stage. When we ask for a transition, we do expect the pony to complete that transition. So as you can see, into the walk, moving forward in the walk, and when we halt, which is most crucial, we stand. Good boy, Henry. Now, in contrast to Henry, is his younger big sister, Lucy. She's quite an anxious mare, and she's taken a long time to get up and going. So where Henry was born broken in, Lucy has taken not months, but most likely years to get going. But once she gets going, we will know that all the basics are covered. Lucy was actually quite anxious of the tractor, so we didn't use that technique for long with her. As you can see, my dad in the green overalls there, he's getting his steps in for the day. Having that lead rope there just gives Mum, who is in the carriage, a bit of confidence. As you can see, Lucy's got a standing martingale on. This is to stop her from getting her head up too high. She did tend to throw her head up, and that meant that Mum lost contact with her and put us in a dangerous position. So that standing martingale isn't tight, it's quite loose when Lucy is in a nice frame. It just means that Mum's got a little bit of confidence in terms of that control. That rope at this point would come off if the filming had continued, and Lucy would get worked on her own independently from having that rope on. Some of the coming photos will highlight this. So yeah, there's Lucy. Dad standing in the paddock ready to help if needed, and there is my sweet girl. We also introduced going into different paddocks, moving around, and also working with others as well. So as you can see, here's Henry and Lucy being worked together. At first, Lucy was quite anxious about where Henry was and wanted to know where he was at all times. It took a little while for her to get used to the fact that he would come and go, but it's really important. When we're out at events, we really need the pony to have their mind on the job and not worrying about where everyone else is. We can be in quite packed environments, so there will be other horses around her in harness in quite close proximity, so it's really important that they get used to this as well. Now, Henry's favourite pace is the halt. There's no hiding that. He's quite happy to stand there and babysit if we let him. Lucy, on the other hand, standing is a necessity that we ask for. She's not quite convinced that it's her favourite pace yet, but she will. The other pace that we have to have in our toolbox is a rein back. Rein back for harness horses is asked for quite early in dressage movements, given that we can and quite often do need to rein back out of situations. It's very different to a riding horse scenario where they can generally get out of any situation. With a carriage on, it's a bit different. So as you can see, Lucy's still working quite calmly. She's probably not as forward as what we would like, but she's getting there. Another element that we do whenever possible is actually ridden work with all of our harness ponies, as long as they're big enough. Lucy's about 13 hands at this point, so she's well and truly big enough to be able to do some schooling under saddle. This is where she'll learn her basic dressage, bending around the leg. Mum will use the voice aids that we'll use in the carriage at this point, so it's a bit different to a purely ridden horse, but as you can see, it's a lot easier to teach them those basic principles under saddle because you've got your leg and you can use that in your seat to deliver that message. We always teach our horses it's okay to canter. Some harness ponies have never cantered in the carriage. All of ours will because they're combined drive ponies. So it's really important that you start introducing that earlier on in the piece so it's not a big deal. I thought I'd just share some general top tips. So tip number 1, form that relationship with your youngster. We spend a lot of time with these horses and ponies. We need to be able to trust them and they need to be able to trust us. So form that relationship, build that trust, and you will benefit from it. My next tip, get back to basics all the time, even with your experienced ponies or with your green ponies. I believe 100% that going back to the basics benefits everyone all the time. As you can see, I've got my green pony on the long rein here. I've also got my experienced pony doing the exact same exercises and expecting the same thing from them. You can see one of these ponies has blinkers on, one doesn't. Henry doesn't drive with blinkers, Bo does. Doesn't change a thing for them. Next top tip, get out of that arena. Go have fun. Enjoy it with your friends. As you can see, I'm out with Kathy, my Number one driving buddy, also my travel buddy all the time. We love going for drives on the farm together. Luna, you can see in that photo, she comes with me. I get out early mornings, it's the best time of the day. Next top tip, competitions don't have to be competitive. The most fun you can have is sitting down. It's a popular saying about carriage driving, and it's really true. Get out there, have fun, don't worry about the ribbons, and you'll find that your ponies have an amazing time. You'll meet some incredible people, you'll have some great experiences. And on that, I guess my final top tip is to have fun. This is an incredible sport. The people are amazing. The society is very supportive, so get out there, have fun. I hope this has been of use to somebody. Make sure that you subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Bye.